Hey guys, Maty here from Young One Studio, and I want to talk about something I see all the time, especially now that everyone has access to powerful cameras and great sensors and great software. Everyone wants to color their own footage, and I get it. It's the same instinct as directing or editing your own project. When you've put in the time to shape a story, your story, you want control, you want to make sure it's told exactly the way that you see it, right? Directors want to sit in the edit because they understand the rhythm and the emotion and the intent behind every cut. Color grading really isn't any different. It's the final layer of storytelling. It's where tone and mood and subtle emotional cues really come together. But there's an issue. Color is one of the most misunderstood and overlooked parts of the process. And I've learned this the hard way, the very hard way. The better the camera gets, the more dangerous it actually becomes to grade the footage without the right setup. Because at a certain level, you're not just tweaking an image anymore. You're shaping a very, very high quality signal that can fall apart if it's pushed in the wrong direction and it's pushed incorrectly. The way I think about it is this. Giving someone high-end camera footage without the proper grading setup is like handing the keys of a Formula One car to someone who only drives a Toyota Prius to the shops. Technically, they can drive, yes, but that doesn't mean they know how to handle that level of performance. And that's exactly what is happening with a lot of modern cameras. The images coming out are so rich and flexible and so full of data. Without the right environment and tools to develop the data, you're actually limiting massively what the sensor can do. So here are a few simple things that will dramatically improve your color grading. And I mean dramatically. First, you must have a proper reference monitor, not just a nice looking screen, a calibrated reference monitor. That means something that's calibrated regularly, ideally once a month with a delta E under 1, Google what that is, an accurate Rec 709 monitoring using BT 1886 gamma. If your monitor is off, everything you're doing is based on incorrect information. You're making creative decisions on a lie. Second, you need a controlled grading environment. This is a huge one that almost everyone ignores. You can't be color grading in a room with daylight coming in. Even a small window is going to mess you up. Changing color temperature throughout the day, your perception of the image is going to constantly shift without you even realizing. A proper grading environment is fully controlled. No daylight contamination, consistent lighting conditions at all times, which leads me into the third thing, proper bias lighting. This is something 90% of people getting into grading overlook or underestimate. Your bias lighting should be an extremely accurate 6500 degrees balanced light placed behind your monitor, matching your working color space. Ideally, this means you have, you can have a smaller secondary light also set to 6500. Has to be very accurate to see your workspace. The bias lighting should be set to around 10% of your monitor's peak white brightness. This stabilizes your perception of contrast and color, reduces eye strain, keeps your contrast judgment laser focused. Without it, your eyes are constantly compensating, and again, you're not actually seeing the image accurately. And lastly, workflow. Specifically, a strong understanding of CST-based color space transform workflows using layered node structures. This is where almost everyone else falls apart. They jump straight into using lights or start pushing wheels without properly managing the image pipeline. If you're not controlling your color space from the start of your entire setup, you're building a building on unstable ground. Once you start working in a structured color managed pipeline, everything becomes so much more predictable, more repeatable, and significantly more accurate. And here's the truth, I think. Once you implement just these few things, your work doesn't just get a little bit better, it jumps. It looks more expensive, more intentional, more consistent, because now you're actually seeing and controlling the image properly and the same every time. So yes, color your own work if you want to. It's awesome. You should learn it, absolutely, everyone. But understand that color grading is not just creative, it is technical. And if you ignore the technical side, you're leaving a huge amount of quality on the table. The things you can control fast and almost immediately is one, make sure no daylight is coming into your room, and calibrate your monitor. Even if you don't think you have an extremely accurate monitor, color grade that monitor. So no daylight and calibrate your monitor. That doesn't just mean calibrating the colors. Make sure the brightness is reading exactly what it should be for your output. So if it's a Rec 709, about 100 to 120 nits. Again, Google what that means. And then the next stage is, if you can get a good color accurate monitor, get one of those. And then the final stage, of course, oh, sorry, and don't let me miss bias lighting. Get bias lighting. There's a company called, they might just be called Cinema Bias Lighting. I'll put it in a link below so you can see what that is. Get a very accurate LED strip from them, put it behind your monitor so it shines on the wall behind you. 10% of the total brightness for the peak white of your monitor. And one thing I didn't mention, if you want to go above and beyond, paint your workspace in 18% middle gray. So do everything else that I listed, but paint your room 18% middle gray, or at least paint the wall directly behind your monitor 18% middle gray. Again, that'll help your eye focus on what is true white. It's all about true color, true white perception, true contrast perception. I'm gonna keep blabbing. Thanks for listening to this one, guys. I think you can tell maybe I'm a little bit passionate about this. I run into a lot of issues when it comes to color grading. I'm not a professional colorist, and I say that because I don't have a $50,000 coloring lab and all I do is color. I'm a filmmaker. I do color when I need to for my projects. And as my equipment gets better and my lenses get better, I want my product to get better. And I often find that the part of the product that's lacking the most is when I hand it to someone else and they do the color. And it's usually because the room isn't correct. There's too much daylight. The monitor isn't balanced. They don't have bias lighting. It's almost always one of these four things. So again, thanks for listening to this one, guys. If you have any questions about anything I said on this one, I can provide links, or I can just give you some advice from someone who's been forced to learn doing color. I actually really enjoy learning this stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.